You ever get so excited when you finish a project or an idea, and soon after you think, in hindsight, that probably wasn't a good idea. Well, today, we're gonna go over the top mistakes new home buyers make when they first move into their home, and why you absolutely need to avoid them. I'm Jay Stallone, I'm a local realtor, and if you wanna know everything about new construction in the Chicago suburbs, I think you came to the right place. I work with a lot of new home buyers, and I get always the same questions and a lot of the same mistakes. So today we're gonna dive into the top mistakes you need to avoid when you first purchase your new home. Now, if you wanna stay up to date on everything new construction, from upcoming communities, restaurants, my favorite floor plans, places to check out when you're here, and everything in between, make sure you click the link below and I'll make sure you always stay updated on everything that's going on with new construction in the Chicago suburbs. You just moved in and you want to finish the basement immediately. Don't do it. It can lead to more problems than it's worth. You can actually run into mold growth, water damage, or having to redo everything you just did. It's recommended to at least let the home sit for a year before you finish the basement at all. The foundation will shift, settle, it will crack, and then you'll know what's going on. Then it's recommended to finish the basement, but don't do it before that first year. I've toured hundreds and hundreds of homes, and I always see the cracks, mostly in the same places. Now, I'm not an engineer, so if you are, tell me why. Or a builder even. Most commonly, you're gonna see them in the window wells, or the windows if it's a lookout or a walkout basement, or in the door frames if it's a walkout basement as well. I'm not sure why, but this is the most common place you're gonna see these things. Usually it's gonna be the bottom of the window down to the basement floor, or it's gonna be the top of the window to the top of the foundation. Doors, same way. Not sure why it happens, but it's the first thing I look for. It's the first place you're gonna see water intrusion. Other places you're probably gonna see it is vertical cracks, other places in the basement, or if you have a partial basement, the half wall between the basement and the crawl space, you're gonna see it there as well. Again, not sure why, but it's the first place I start looking for my buyers because it's always gonna be there, or it's the first place you're gonna look for when you go to finish your basement. Now, the other place I'm looking is the basement floor. A lot of times it will shrink, you'll see hairline cracks all over the place. In my house, I have a ton of them. They don't leak water, but they're there and I'm mindful of them. Now, as a first-time home buyer, when I saw cracks in the basement, I panicked. I was like, oh, next house, this one's a junk. Just to find out that it's pretty common to see cracks in basements. Who knew, right? Most times you're gonna see is an epoxy injection where they actually put an epoxy through the crack, it fills the crack, and then you don't get water in it. There's other ways to do it with concrete patching and a few other ways, but the most common I see is an epoxy fill through a plug. A lot of times you're gonna see the basement has half insulated walls or from top to bottom. You're never gonna see the basement walls. So it's always recommended to check behind it to make sure there is no water intrusion, or consult a specialist that can lead you in the best direction before you put a bunch of money into this basement. The next mistake is painting as soon as you move in. We get it, you want to customize the home, but here's why you shouldn't. Most builders paint in flat, whether it's white, off-white, or color they pick. When you do your blue tape walkthrough and you tape the whole house up for any paint imperfections, flat is extremely easy to touch out, but it does not play well with being cleaned. I'll tell you why. First moved into my house, paint looks beautiful, it was flat. Now it looks like my daughter's Spider-Man. And it's gonna be a lot of touch-up now because flat does not take well to stains or durability. Now, most builders paint in flat, right? So when you have that 1-year warranty, what's gonna happen is about month 10 or 11, you're gonna have some cracks, some settling, and they're gonna come back and they're gonna patch and paint. But they're only gonna paint in the color it originally was, and in flat. That means if you painted it blue or red, eggshell satin, they're not gonna come back and touch it up. And if they do come back and touch it up, you'd have to paint the whole wall. So always wait that 1 year, do your repair requests, get the patching, the painting, put it back to flat, and then at that time, paint your special colors. And if I can recommend anybody, don't paint it back flat. Go with an eggshell, a satin finish, depending on what you prefer. But an eggshell typically has better durability. I will tell you flat will last like a year or so. My daughter made sure that I have to repaint the whole house now because it looks like she's climbed all over it. Not a good time. So I'd recommend definitely doing an eggshell or satin. They're a lot more durable for the paint. Now the next one, I get it. There's not a lot of landscaping outside. They let you customize it to do whatever you want. But don't plant things right on top of the house. Whether it's a bush, a tree, whatever. My house is newish. Now, when they bought the home, the original owners, they put this little tree 2 feet from the house. Couldn't be that big. It is now an absolute behemoth. It's 30 feet or taller. Now, I don't have a tape measure and a boom lift, but I can look up and say it's bigger than the house. And it's 2 feet from the tree house. If you actually open the window behind me, I can jump to the tree. That's how close it is to the home. Absolutely do not put something that large next to your house because of storms, because of the maintenance on it. There's a lot of reasons to keep the trees or big trees away from the home. It's a lot more maintenance. Now, I kind of panic sometimes when there's a bad storm here because it sounds like the tree is going to be in my office. Not a good thing, trust me. So be very selective with what you plant, know how big it's gonna get and how far off the foundation you're gonna be. You don't wanna plant it right up on the foundation. And a lot of things you're gonna see is when you buy a home in the late fall, the winters, other times, your home may not be fully graded. So wait for the home to get fully graded, fully soldered or seeded before you start making your plans up. Make sure the dirt has settled and everything else. Because if you're gonna put a patio down or you're gonna put pavers and edgers and the thing is not fully settled, eventually you're gonna see a lot of the stuff buckle or fall apart or tumble over because it's not settled correctly yet. Now the next one you gotta be very mindful of. Now it's not a homeowner thing, but it will impact you directly if you don't pay attention. I tell everybody trust but verify. I trust you're gonna do what you say you're gonna do, but I also say to verify that. People are human and mistakes are made. So let's get into a fun story. In my previous life, I was a cable guy. Yeah, the cable guy. For a huge company that shall not be named, kind of like Voldemort. And I will tell you, the main priority of people moving into new construction is, did the Wi-Fi work? Not, do they have a couch? Did they have food? They could have 1,000 boxes. They could have no grass, but the immediate question is, can you get the Wi-Fi to work today? Now I was installing the modem in the second floor bedroom. So I kneeled down to work on the cable jack and my knee almost went through the floor, which I wasn't expecting as floors usually are pretty solid. And I was like, well, this is odd. What could be there? I walked throughout the rest of the home, 4-bedroom home, pretty large. If you know most homes, they have return ducts very high up in the homes, and the vents are next to the windows. It's for air circulation in the bedrooms. Well, every bedroom had the duct up top, except this one. I looked up, I looked down where my knee was, put my ear to the carpet. Sounds weird, but you could hear the airflow through the carpet. It was a very weird sound. And I quickly realized what they had forgot to do was run the duct from that portion of the floor up into the wall. Seems like an easy issue, right? Well, now they're gonna have to tear the wall open. I'm not even sure the duct was in the wall remaining or still there. So they're gonna have to tear up that section of the wall, the floor, the carpet, everything they just moved into, just to put the duct where it needed to be. Now it made me think, you had a blue tape walkthrough. Somebody had to have checked this, but nobody verified. And I think if I hadn't said anything, they may not have noticed for quite some time. Now, I'm not a builder, I'm not an engineer, but I'm not sure a return duct does a great job of sucking air through carpet. Maybe it does, you tell me. But it brings me to the point, you spend your hard-earned money, and nowadays it's very hard-earned. So when you're going through your blue tape walkthrough or your final walkthrough, check everything. Don't assume everything's gonna be there, don't assume everything's been checked, just verify. It will save you a lot of hassle. I was never in that home again, but I'm sure they didn't have a good time having to wait for them to demo that room just so they can get a duct that functioned. Now, one of the mistakes I see right before moving in or after moving in, whatever you want to call it, is not doing your due diligence at the final walkthrough. Whether you at the framing inspection, pre-drywall, drywall, not everybody goes to those, but everybody will go to that blue tape walkthrough. It's the last time you're gonna go through the home before you officially purchase it, whether it's a day, a week, a couple days, right before you close. And you're gonna go through the whole home and you're gonna blue tape, literally, every imperfection in the home. Every homeowner has fun with this. It's kind of like a little game, right? Where's the mistakes? They're always small stuff, whether it's a nick in a cabinet or a small spot that needs to be fixed. It's always mostly super minor. So I've experienced. One thing people don't do is walk outside. They don't look outside to make sure the window was caulked or everything was correctly done. They just go, yep, man, looks good. Looks like it's a house. Yeah. So I always tell everybody, at least walk outside, make sure around the electrical meter, around the gas meter, your vents, everything that's installed outside that you can see without grabbing ladders or something crazy, make sure that everything's done outside correctly. I have seen a lot. Like I said, I was a previous cable guy for many, many years. I go to a lot of new homes and I'm like, hey, they never caulked this. And nobody ever looked. So that's one of the things I would tell you to do. Go inside and outside. It might take you a little bit longer, but remember, you're gonna be living here for a long time. So make sure you check everything out before you get ready to move in. Now, one of my favorites, everybody says, hire an inspector before you move into the home. Well, most of the time the villages, they're gonna have their plumbing, electrical, framing. They're gonna inspect a bunch with these builders. So you can hire an inspector. A lot of people really don't. But what I always say to do, month 10, hire that inspector, because typically you have that 1-year warranty. Well, they'll come in and fix everything. So hire the home inspector, have him go through the whole home, look for any imperfection or any area that needs to be fixed before you run out of that 1-year warranty. Whether it's caulking, painting, in the attic, basement, anything through that home that you might have missed, they might have missed, before that 1-year warranty runs out. So it's month 10, you did the inspection, you sent off the punch list to the builder, now you can sleep, right? They're gonna fix everything. You had somebody professionally that came through, checked everything. They crossed their T's, dotted their I's, you know, the typical stuff. And they're making sure your home is gonna be sealed tight outside, and the imperfections inside, if there's any, are gonna be covered as well. Now I hope one of these tips helped you today. Whether you moved into your new home or thinking about moving into a new home, that one of these are of value to you, and you can always think of them when you're looking through homes. And if you wanna stay up to date on everything new construction, the homes, communities, and places to check out while you're here, just subscribe below, hit that noti bell, and I'll see you in the next episode. Don't forget to comment what your favorite tip was. Have a good one.